Hi, guys, and welcome to the Women's Health Summit, where you're gaining clarity so you can lead with confidence and finally turn that passion into profit. I'm Laura Sherrill, a high-performance women's health coach and the founder of Balance Bombshells, and today I'm here with Kat Gaskin, who is a graphic designer, content planning expert, and the creator of the Content Planner. I'm so excited to introduce you to her today because she's going to help us talk about systems, creating content, repurposing content, and she's super results driven, so she is like our go-to resource today. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kat.
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me. Hi to everyone out there. I'm coming to you live from Toronto, Canada, and I can't wait to dive in and chat all things content.
To also have like a little bit of a fangirl moment, guys, I have one of her content planners, so if you've never seen these, she teaches you how to like every single month is set up where you can track your growth on like all of your social media platforms, because most people have multiple, and just how to plan your content. And I love how you have like these little nuggets in there that I just was learning so much as I was going through the planner of just like how to plan, how to use different resources. And I just am so excited to share like all of your work, of what you put together here, but also your knowledge on creating content.
Yeah, and thanks so much for bringing that memory back. I always love each planner because some of you might not know, but it only gets launched in one color every single year. So for that year, that is like my entire life. It's my wardrobe. I see it in stores everywhere. I become that color for the year. So
And just
turquoise was a very good year for me.
yeah, just look at her Instagram, because all of her colors for that year will match on her Instagram to match the content planner. Like, she's not lying when she says it's her life. And it's from a branding perspective, it's so cute. Like, I remember it. Like, I associate that with you. And like, what a fun thing to be able to play up your color and your brand and just really make it work with how you're feeling.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. 100%.
So I'd love to dive into why you got started in your business and like how it all came about.
Yeah, so in short, I've been working for myself for the past 8 years. As Laura said, I'm a graphic designer. So by trade, I went to school for that. That's where my passion lies. And FYI, did not know that I would become an e-commerce business owner. I didn't know that I would get into photography. I have zero experience in marketing. I have no formal training in business, but here I am running an e-commerce brand, running multiple businesses, and now leveraging my content on Instagram primarily. And how I got started was I made the conscious decision to quit my job, but it didn't happen overnight. And this was back in 2011, when this space of entrepreneur life and freelancing was very different. Like, the whole girl boss movement wasn't a thing. And even just being able to see myself at events and on stages, and being able to see women who looked like me making the kind of money that I wanted to make, like, that didn't exist back in 2011. And you asked me what my why is, and that's it. I do it because when I was growing up and when I was a teenager, even when I was a young woman, I wanted so badly to see someone on a stage or on a TV show or in a movie or on the cover of Forbes magazine who I could relate to and who I could look up to and use as a mentor. But I didn't have that luxury. And luckily, I'm so stubborn and strong-headed that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that woman. I'm going to be hopefully that person that takes up more space, so that the women that come after me and the girls and the teenagers, even my niece, like, if I can do it so that once she's able to get a job and, start her own business and be super successful, she can say like, wow, I know what that looks like because I saw my aunt do it, or I saw this one woman do it who looked like me. And that's so important for me in terms of representation and taking up space as an entrepreneur, because we live, and I know it's hard because we live in a time where you might think, oh, it's so saturated. Oh, there are so many other women out there doing exactly what I'm doing. But there's not. Like, your thoughts, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you act, what you produce, how you create, it is all so unique to you. Like, you, Laura, are so different than me in terms of how we would create something. And like, we were just chatting about this and you were saying, I could never create the content planner, but I created this online course and it just like flowed. And I'm like, yeah, well, I just created the content planner. It just flowed. I probably would really suck at creating and writing a script for an online course. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, my biggest why is to hopefully blaze a trail for the girls and the younger women behind me, so that when they get to my phase in life, that there is space for them. There's space, there's abundance, there's wealth, there's respect, and there's money, because we all know about that gender pay gap.
Right. And I love what you said too, of like, it's not oversaturated, because like that is something that comes up quite a bit in like the health and wellness industries too, is people were just like, oh, well, there's just so many health coaches, there's so many wellness people. But when you actually tap, like, women's health is actually a very untapped sector of all of that.
Oh,
so
man.
like now is the time for people to like get into it and stand out in different ways. Because I think like women are really hungry to see themselves represented in different businesses and different media. I was actually just watching on Netflix, or maybe it was a YouTube clip, about the rise and fall of Victoria's Secret and how they were like basically losing a lot of sales because the women no longer aspired to be like the models on their runway and in their magazines, and women were like, no, I'm going to these other brands who are showing like real women as models. I'm seeing different ethnicities, I'm seeing different color, I'm seeing myself represented. So why
shout out Rihanna.
Yeah, it was like it was just so beautiful. So I like that is what people are craving, especially women right now, is like seeing themselves, understanding what's possible. And I just love that like what you've created is help blazing that trail, because you have such unique gifts and such unique styles that I hadn't really seen on Instagram. And then in like you market yourself so way of like so well of staying true to yourself, and you can just kind of tell your heart is like literally shining through like your website or how you speak or your Instagram photos. And like I know how much time and energy it takes behind the scenes to like put that together. So it's just like when I see other women who like have done it so well, I'm like, I just bow down, because like it does take a lot of time, which people like don't really like to admit. I guess we all want to think that it's easy, but you know, like marketing and branding is like,
thanks, Laura. We're having a moment. I'm like, I feel very seen. Thank you. But I will say,
oh my gosh.
Yes, it takes a long time, but when it is your passion and when you really feel fired up about it, it does not feel like work at all. So that's the distinction. It's like you harness your power, one, as a woman, because we have so much power. Like, we're so powerful. You know this. And two is once you really step into what makes you different and what makes you unique and what makes you original, you're unstoppable. Like, you can create endlessly. You can support others endlessly. You can be kind of like that flashlight in dark times that will help lead people to maybe like a better lifestyle. You can help them improve their health. Like, think of it from a perspective of, okay, if I'm sick, I don't want to learn from someone who is also sick. I want to learn from someone who is like the epitome of optimum health. And how you do that is you literally have to figure out who you are as a person. And yes, it takes a lot of self-awareness, but it's still worth it. And it does take a long time, but the work doesn't feel like work. If you tell me, okay, Kat, now you have to work for 12 hours on your business, like launching this thing, I'm like, yes, I love that. It's so fun. I can't wait to help my community and my customers like be more successful. That really fills up my cup. And that's why that's why the saying goes, like, do what you love. Sounds so cliche and it's so overused, but that's why, because yes, it does get really hard sometimes and you do want to quit and give up and throw in the towel. But if you truly love what you do, you don't even have a choice of sharing your gift.
It's like you can feel like you're dying inside. Like, that's how I felt when it was like before I got started, and I was like, okay, I'm going to teach health and I'm going to teach women. But I kept fighting with like what would make me different or unique. And I was like, well, it's like I've been learning hormones and I really am like strategic about it. And all the books I read talked about women's health in such a negative way, and they made it feel like we needed to like not worry about it until we hit a milestone in our life that then like that's when we needed to
Yeah.
like worry. Basically like the underlying message was like, don't pay attention to it until you have to. But then they were like saying the more you pay attention to it now, the less likely you'll have problems later in life. So I'm like, I'm confused. Like this is conflicting. But it's just like once you listen to your heart and you're just like, okay, I don't know what this is yet. I'm just gonna go with it and figure it out. Do you have any of like some really good tips on like how someone can start creating their content or expand their content strategy? Because I know like you probably have so much knowledge and information on that, but like to break it down for us who like aren't as well versed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been not only planning my content, but also using a system for my content planning because I am such a believer in pen to paper. I'm not a huge fan of computers and digital like templates. And we all love that satisfaction where you can literally like take a highlighter, cross out your
Yeah.
goal and say, wow, I did that, you
It's
know?
so
And
satisfying.
so I cross out, I highlight, and I'm like Xing it out
Yeah.
because such a great feeling of accomplishment and motivation. So my first tip when it comes to creating content, because creating is kind of the next steps, like it all has to start from what is your strategy? Like, why are you showing up on social media, especially as a health and wellness coach? Is it because you want people to sign up for your online course? Is it because you want to become a speaker? Is it because you want them to join your email list? So the first question that I always ask people, regardless of what business they're in, is what is the one action that you want people to take after they consume a piece of your content? So whether that's a YouTube video or a piece of email marketing or a free download or an Instagram post, a story, whatever it is, whatever platform that you're sharing on, first and foremost, think about, okay, once they see this, once they hit play, what do I want them to do after? What's the action there? Because to be honest with you, and a lot of my community are also coaches in the health space, and y'all are overcomplicating it. Like, way too much. I'm clicking on your link tree and it's like, bam, 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 here's 20 different links of stuff. And I'm like, no, it's all about being very strategic. And by when I say strategic, I mean being simple. So cutting out all the fluff and saying, okay, if someone sees my Instagram video about how to balance their hormones naturally, then I'm going to assume that they would like my ebook on, you know, like food and drinks that will change your hormones or that can, you know, fix that problem. And then maybe from the ebook, that will lead them to my online course. And then from the online course, maybe they want to do a one-on-one coaching. But as a business owner, you don't just want to give that information to them all at once. It's all about leading your people through what we call the customer journey. So step one, figure out the action you want people to take. And then from there, really get in the space of who your customer and ideal client is and think, okay, like let's call her Judy. If Judy watches this video, what's she going to do next? Probably click the link in my bio. Okay, now I'm going to give her just this one link that will easily guide her through the process. And believe me, like clear is kind. Brene Brown says this all the time, and that I really respect that, is being clear when it comes to your content strategy is the kindest thing you can do for people. So that's my biggest tip is one, figure out and really nail down that one action. Like for the content planner, it's selling. I want to sell my planner and I want them to click the link in my bio to go to my website. The next tip that I have is to write it down. You have to write it down. You can't just have a strategy and then post something to Instagram. Like,
Right.
do you think that's going to work? Like, how's
Which I
that
feel
working
like
for you?
we all start there. And you're like, this is
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you think to yourself, like, yeah, I think I want to start accepting, you know, one-on-one coaching calls from people. And then you're like, okay, great, I'm going to get on my phone and I'm going to write this caption. Okay, what's the photo going to be? And then you just sit there for hours thinking, typing, deleting, and then you post it and you don't feel confident in yourself because you know that you rushed it, you know that there's no purpose, and you know that you could be doing better. Plus, you're probably not going to get a lot of conversions from that piece of content. So that's why I always recommend the bridge between your strategy and your actual like creation phase is the planning. Like you have to plan.
Right.
You plan out your workouts, you plan out your meals, you plan out your day, you schedule in your doctor's appointments. And why can't you do that with your content? So step 2 is to write down a content plan. If you want to use a content planner, great. If you want to use just a notepad, great. If you want to use a planner you found at Target, like by all means, but you have to write it down, because I mean, writing has so many different benefits on the mind.
Yeah.
It gets you more creative. It gets you more inspired. It's also a form of learning. So as you're writing, and I'm sure a lot of people might agree, when you start writing, you're like, wow, a lot of other ideas are now coming to me. And because we're in such a digital age, I'm always team like pen and paper, because yes, I love being on Instagram. Yes, I love digital content. Yes, I love making money online, but I also really love like the feel of a paper planner. It doesn't need Wi-Fi.
Like only read books. Like I won't read Kindle or anything like that. I'm like, I can't look at another screen. Like I just can't do it. So I know we have like so many different platforms of like social media and ways to engage with our audience. How do you help women find like which is the best one for them to focus on, either like when they're just starting or when they're looking to build their audience even bigger than what they have?
Yes. So when it comes to just starting out on anything related to social platforms and your business, rather, I always say to pick 2 content marketing platforms. So right now we have like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And I always say to pick 2. So you have your first one, which is like your primary content marketing platform. There is where you're going to spend 80% of your time and effort. And then the secondary one is going to be your supporting platform. So if primary content marketing platform breaks, you can still rely on the second one. And the reason why I say 2 is because if you try and do all of them, you're going to spread yourself too thin. And you're much better off devoting 80% of your energy and time and thought process to just one platform. So that's my rule for that. And in terms of picking which ones, just play to your strengths. And this is why it goes back to being self-aware. If you know you're not a good writer, don't start a blog. If you know you're not good on camera, don't start a YouTube channel. But if you know that, okay, I'm really great at designing things, okay, Instagram's probably for you, or Facebook, or Pinterest.
Right.
But the thing with content marketing and social media platforms is that a lot of people think they have to be on all of them.
Right. And like each one of them, and I think what like needs to be said is like each one of them is so different, and they each have like, you have to know how to set up your content for that platform, or like it's not going to work, and then you're just sitting there spinning your wheels. Because like Instagram is very visual, Facebook is very like community oriented, Pinterest is Pinterest and YouTube are search engines, so it's like those are going to be different to how you create content. So yeah, there's just so much. So I love what you're saying of like, don't start with them all, because it's a lot.
Yeah, and I would much rather you do one platform really well than do 9 of them really badly.
Yeah.
You know, because if someone comes to your LinkedIn and there's no content and you didn't even upload your logo and it's a post from 3 years ago, that's hurting your brand.
Yeah.
Do you want to hurt your brand? No.
Yeah.
So just take it away. Just remove it. You don't have to create that extra work for yourself. And we're already overwhelmed with running a business.
Right.
So why are you going to do that to yourself? So just pick 2, and one is your primary, and then the second one is your secondary. What
is your primary and secondary?
So for me, Instagram is my primary, and then my secondary is my email list. Okay. So my email list supports my Instagram, and I know there might be some people out there who are going to say, oh yeah, like I've already aced my Instagram. Maybe you're automating it and you hired someone and you're doing the Facebook thing and maybe you just want to start a podcast. Only if you've mastered those 2 will you move on to another one.
Right.
You know, so I use Instagram, my email list.
Yeah. Because mine has definitely been Instagram and then Pinterest. So I get actually most traffic through Pinterest than anywhere else, which is interesting. I guess not so interesting because it's like a search engine and people are then searching for your information, so it comes up.
I find that very fascinating because I don't do Pinterest.
Yeah, and most people get really surprised. It's like over 60% is from Pinterest, and then the other ones are either organic or it's from Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. But it's just really interesting too, because when I was first getting started, all of the female entrepreneurs that I had like started with, they were all focusing on Facebook, and I was like, Facebook just doesn't speak to me. Like it's not my jam. Like it's just not my thing. And I really liked Instagram because I used to do a lot of brand partnerships because I worked in fundraising. And I just really liked that on Instagram. Like, not only can you be open to like your community, but also brand partnerships, which I think is powerful and it hasn't come forward for me through Facebook.
Or Pinterest rather.
Yeah,
that's correct. Where all the collaboration happens.
Right. So it's just really interesting of how I just love hearing how other entrepreneurs like use the different platforms, because someone might be like, wow, I get so much of mine through a podcast or through YouTube because they like talking. I'm more introverted, so it's like I can't talk all day.
I'm an introvert as well.
Yeah. It's like I can do it. I usually now partner it to my cycle. Like when I do videos, I'll do it to the part of my cycle when we're going to be more extroverted and more social, so that it'll naturally flow out versus like we turn
I need to learn this.
Oh, have you ever heard of cycle syncing?
No, but it's something that I've wanted to get into because now I'm starting to do one-on-ones, and I'm running these like virtual workshops with 100 people, watching me. So the energy has to be very high. Yeah. Oh my God, if I had to do that on like day one of my period, shoot me.
Correct. Well, so if we can just like do fun facts right now, because I think you'll appreciate them. Our brain, we're so inward focused when our period starts. It's actually really hard for you to communicate outwardly. So like I'll talk to my husband and I'm like, if you ever notice like my words I'm not stringing sentences together correctly, I'm either about to get my period or it's just started, because like it's harder to communicate versus during your ovulation phase, you're naturally energetic. Anything you want to say or any point you want to make just like naturally comes to you and just flows out. Yeah. So you could actually, if you start tracking your cycle, you could start partnering your big events and workshops to the parts of your cycle when you actually have more energy. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm 1000%.
Yeah, I think every female entrepreneur should basically match her work activities to her cycle, because it becomes, you're no longer like fighting against yourself and your energy. Like we have a natural rise and flow, and like I think that's one of the reasons why we get so tired and burnt out quickly is when we actually go against how our body naturally wants to flow. Kind of like with your saying, like choose the social media platform that really speaks
that works for you. Yeah.
It's the same thing in how we set up our work. Oh gosh, it's literally saved my life, because I don't know who I was without it.
And you don't know what you don't know, which is why content is so important and why the health space is so important. And especially now, with what's happening, we need health coaches, we need wellness coaches, we need all of you. Like it's all hands on deck.
Right. And I think even business or marketing coaches, any business owner who's a woman understands how much her energy needs to be in alignment to be able to get the best out of her in how she's running her work and how she's interacting with clients or customers or your team. Like our energy is everything. And if we can know how to take care of ourselves, it basically, cycle syncing is like next level shit for women. Like it is like, it takes
notes. Yeah. So that's what it's called, cycle syncing.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't even know the term. You could post that on Instagram and be like, wow, this is blowing my mind. And I'm sure for you, it's like, what? You didn't know that? It's like come so easy to me.
Right. Well, only because like you study it for so long that you forget that like not everybody knows. But every time I like talk about it, like even at parties, like men will look at me and be like, wait.
That's your party trick.
Oh, it's awesome. Like the men are just like, you can help my wife get rid of like PMS and like mood stuff. And they're like, honey, like come over here. And it's like, you basically can do it for whatever goal you have, whether it's like physical, mental, work related, relationships, everything can be partnered to your cycle. And it's so intuitive. I bet you know it so much better than you think right now. And once you like learn the phases, you're just like, why did no one talk to us about this when we were getting our periods? Like, basically.
Yeah.
So side note, but going into your entrepreneur, like, energy creating stuff, you'll also be able to tap into your creative centers, like, that will make you the most creative for your business. So I don't know if you've ever gone through periods where you're like, oh, I like have this idea, but I can't put it into words. It's like under the surface and I know that it's there. If you wait until you get your period, most likely it will come to you. Like, our brain hemispheres move.
Okay, so you're saying once you get your period is the time when the idea will come to you?
If you give yourself space to have it.
Okay, because I find mine happens after.
That too, yeah. So it can,
so the energy spike.
Yeah, so you get the energy spike, but you might start noticing if you set the intention to like start journaling during your period. So like our right and left brain hemispheres become the most aligned during our period. So that's like your creative and analytical side. So it's like the best time of month to be able to see very clearly what your next steps are going to be. Which is like, now women are like, wow, I'm so excited to have my period because I'm finally able to like make sense of this jumble that I have in my mind. But getting back to our content strategy,
Yes.
how do you end up leveraging your content to actually make sales? Because I think that's like such a hot topic. People are like, yeah, I make money on Instagram, or like, yeah, I make money with the podcast. But like, how do you take your content and use it to actually generate revenue in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now, because online content is the only way to reach your people. You know, we can't necessarily go to in-person events anymore, and we can't necessarily travel. So I've been doing this for years, so I feel very equipped with everything going on. And I simply really honed in on my strategy. So when it comes to sales and when it comes to selling, content marketing has like this big, long, boring definition on Google. You can go look it up. But for me, I actually redefined it in just a very short, simple way. So content marketing, according to me, the content planner, Kat Gaskin, it's a way of educating your community where you're not necessarily selling all the time. So selling and promoting is like, hey, everyone, here's this pen, go buy it. Whereas educating is like, wow, I found this great new pen and I really love it because it's aesthetically pleasing. It writes really smoothly. The color is exceptionally saturated and it won't bleed through my paper. Oh, if you'd like to go buy it, click the link in my bio. Like, that's how you would do a piece where you're educating your community about whatever it is that you're selling, but you're not talking about the actual product. You're maybe going to talk about the benefits of what it's like to manage your hormones or not have to go through PMS all the time. What are the benefits of leading a healthy lifestyle? Is it going to increase like my brain clarity? Am I going to be able to have better relationships? Like, talking about it from a space where you're helping people solve problems in their lives. Because that's what we buy. That's what we buy into. We buy into the transformation. And especially as a coach or a leader in the health and wellness space, yes, there are a lot of you, but there aren't a lot of you actually serving your people by educating them.
Right.
Like, I find that, and this might be a sweeping statement, but a lot of coaches out there it's almost like they're pushing their products onto people and they're pushing their marketing onto people. And we don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, the people watching here, you can feel it. You can literally feel like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Very, I don't want to say like anxious, or it's very aggressive energy. And I think women, like, we're very in tune with like people's emotions. So like you might read it and be like, wow, that's inspiring. And like, yeah, I should, but like, I feel like you're yelling at me. So yeah, keep going. I love this.
Yeah. And there is a way to not do that. And the way is to educate people, simply give them value and over deliver. Like, you're a business owner and you're going to help change people's lives. If you give them a free download, what's stopping you from giving them 5 more just because?
Right.
And that right there is such a great piece when you're teaching people something. and you're just starting out. I know when I just started out, I gave so much. I gave free photos. I gave free advice. I gave free knowledge. I didn't really necessarily give free content planners, but I gave them free training about how to plan their content, about how to leverage Instagram.
Right. And do you want to talk about, I know that some women, especially either when they're getting started or they're been going at it for a while and they haven't necessarily made the sales that they want. I think that there's a mentality that comes up of like almost hoarding their information and fear of giving everything away and thinking that people won't buy. So do you want to talk a little bit of like how you were so giving in the beginning and obviously like still are giving, but what did that then happen when you were so free on sharing that then basically came back to you?
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, well, that's scarcity mindset 101.
Yeah.
And we all know how torturous and poisonous that can be on our businesses. So first of all, check your mindset. If you ever show up on Instagram or social media or in your business and you think there's not enough money out there for me, there's not enough clients out there for me, she's my competition, so I'm not going to help her, you need to check yourself, because that's scarcity mindset. And we all want to come from a place of growth and abundance. So I think of it like the more that I give to people, the more that I'm going to receive in return. So I don't even really think about money in terms of, if I teach you how to do something today, I'm not getting paid for it. This sucks. I would never think that.
Right.
I think of it like, I'm now going to educate you, and hopefully you can take that into your business and apply that to your content plan and make money for yourself, because I genuinely want to see other women win. And that's the difference between, you know, an abundant business owner and someone who just wants to keep everything to themselves, which, and I mean, in our space, especially in the digital world, it's so easy to feel that way, because you're just seeing all these coaches with their brands and it's all pink and it's nice and it's airy, and you're like, oh my God, like I want to look like that, but it seems like there's 100,000 other people. But you can't think like that. So you do have to check your mindset and understand that, for me, it's never been a question of, oh, well, if I teach them how to do this, then they're not going to pay me. Every single time I've sent a DM or I've responded back with an audio message, or I took the time to actually comment back, the people respond back and they're like, holy shit, Kat, that was incredible. Thank you so much. And now they're a forever customer. Like, they will continue to buy from me. And that's because I'm in it for the long run. I don't know about everyone watching and listening, but I'm never going to retire. So I have time. I have time to build relationships, and it's all about coming from a place of wanting to give and serve your community.
Right. And I think everyone who gets started might kind of be in that space, because it's like you don't know yet of like kind of like your voice and your brand and like how you want to set things up. But you can also take a look at other people online. I always like end up researching how people are posting or how they're communicating, like what their tone is, because like you can kind of understand where they're coming from in their business. And a lot of coaches actually scream at their audiences because they're trying to be loud, because the space is like there's so many people there. But if you've nailed your messaging, if you're really true to like yourself and your work and why you're here to serve, that comes out like through your tone and your words, and even how you might like show up on video, where people like, it's like it's very disarming, because it's like, hey, I'm just talking to a real person versus this person that almost seems like unattainable, which doesn't always work. So,
or someone who's almost like a dictator.
Right.
Who you almost feel like they think they're better than you. And of course, in the wellness space, we're all human. So we're all your customers. You don't really have this specific niche. You're literally trying to save the human race.
Right.
So coming at it from that space is so important. And I always think about this whenever I post something on social media, I send an email, or I'm engaging with a customer, is how can I simply make their day better? Because I love what I do and I want them to feel the exact same thing. My product is literally the gateway. It's not it's not the end all be all. It's just the tool that I can use in order to share my gift with people. And I think, especially in the health and wellness space, your courses, your offerings, your products, whether it's like a physical product or a digital product, that is simply like a means to an end. The people are buying it because they like you
Right.
and you practice what you preach, and your skin is glowing and you don't have PMS and you're just thriving in your life. They can understand that, especially for this industry, that you are living what you teach.
Right.
And that's really important too. I mean, even just adding that to your content plan and sharing a lot more of your lifestyle, like what you're eating, what you're journaling, maybe any podcasts that you're listening to. I find that especially in the health and wellness space, it's so important to share more of who you are as a person, because you're not going to work with someone who, sleeps in every day, or maybe they just have poor eating habits every day. Why would you want to learn from someone like that?
Okay.
You would much rather go with the coach who, honors her body and is so mindful and intuitive about what's happening and her energy and all of that. So specifically to the health and wellness space, that is so important.
And I think too, like, women forget that, like, we have very natural gifts when it comes to selling. And it really comes, like, think of how you would recommend a product to a friend. You would kind of, how you were talking about the pen, you were talking about the features and the benefits and what you like about it. And that's why I think, like, fashion bloggers are so huge. Other health and wellness bloggers are really big. Fitness trainers are big, because it's like, I'm sharing.
YouTubers that review things that don't even have products.
Right.
They're huge.
Yeah. Because I think, like, we can all get really stressed of, like, oh shoot, how can I make money? And then it's definitely very different in how you would, like, come together. And you can kind of tell the coaches that lead with that. And you might thinking, like, yeah, it's working for them, but I truly think it works for them in the short term and not the long term business. So I've been in business now for like 4 years, and I've seen, like, a lot of the women that I started with are no longer in business. And so it's like, you definitely have to make sure you're in it for the long haul. And so, like, having a strategy, having a plan in place, staying authentic to you, and, like, everything that you've been talking about is, like, obviously what you practice and preach, because I don't think any of us are ever going to retire, like, ever. I don't think we're going to be able to.
You can, but you probably won't stay retired for very long.
Yeah, you'll always want that passion project. And, like, if you can create a business around your passion, like,
you can do anything.
Yeah.
And women can create life. So
right, exactly.
We don't need to get into that, but that's our true power.
Right.
And it's really great to meet other female business owners as well and be able to teach them how to be successful. And that all goes back to your why. And, like, you asked me that, it's all about finding your why and then really honing in on who you are as a person, and really amplifying your strengths.
Yeah, for sure. So I know you have a freebie, a lot of resources for the women watching. So do you want to go over some of the freebies that you have available on your website that I will be absolutely sharing the link to so women can grab?
Yeah, of course. So as you know, I love giving value. I love serving. And we have a free resources section on our website where you can download a ton of different printables to either support your content planning or support your brand and business as a whole. So for example, there's a day planner printout that I designed because I love planners. I'm a complete planner nerd, fanatic. So that can be just for your daily appointments and your to-do list. There's also a goal setting worksheet. So planning out your entire year, whether it's January or June. There's a to-do list tracker. There's a growth tracker for multiple accounts on Instagram. There's a document that's called 60 Instagram captions to drive engagement and to get comments. So I put together 60 different prompts that you can post as Instagram captions to get people commenting and to get them engaging with your brand. So the link will be, I'm assuming, below this. So go click on it. You just have to insert your email and you'll get full access to all of those free resources.
Oh, thank you. I love it so much because, like, we do need help with our to-do list and our planning and our strategy. So thank you so much for everything that you created. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I'm just so excited you're able to join us.
Great. Thanks, Laura. And hope everyone has an incredible day.